Hey everyone, welcome back to Reger Podcast. I am your host, Brooke Michelle, and today's guest is Anna Reger, and she is the founder of FlipLok. Hi Anna.
Hi.
Thank you so much for being a guest today.
Thank you for having me.
So can you tell my listeners a little bit about FlipLok?
FlipLok is a secondary lock. It's a locking device that empowers our children in classrooms to be able to lock the doors in an emergency situation. As it stands, most schools or systems that are in place give only the teacher the power to lock the door. And as a mom with 6 kids, that's unacceptable to me because you don't know if the teacher's going to go into action or not, and you've just left all of our children vulnerable.
Exactly. So what made you want to create this? I know, of course, all the school shootings and everything, but how did the idea of creating this come about?
Well, well, years ago, my husband and I talked about, when these situations were becoming more prominent, what could be done, but we always thought somebody else has a solution, somebody else's problem, right? Which is easy for us to do because you have to take action if you start looking at stuff, right? And so then there was, of course, we have 6 kids and our youngest was in elementary at the time. And so I started asking, what do you do in that situation? And when she told me the whole plan, she knew everything to do, go with the teacher, get against the wall, turn off the light, teacher locks the door, all these wonderful things. But I said, what do you do if your teacher's not with you? And she didn't have an answer for me. And that scared me. And the more kids I spoke to, it wasn't just my daughter. It was most kids that I spoke to knew exactly what to do as long as the teacher was there, especially elementary children. And as you know, they target elementary children have been a big number because they're the most vulnerable. But if we don't give our kids the plan after or what if, then our kids are stuck. And so as a mom, my husband and I came up with this idea, but I said it needs to be simple. It needs to be easy to use. It needs to be readily available. It can't be something that's in a drawer or hidden or we don't know where it's at. It needs to be where every kid knows that it's there, because the kids are now going to school worried about these things. And what happens is, they're thinking about, what do I do, instead of thinking about what do I need to do in school, right? They're thinking about what if. And I think that if we give them that sense of empowerment and those tools, then they can go back to being kids and they can go back to thinking about, what is my homework versus what do I do if my teacher goes to the restroom, or what do I do if somebody comes in my car with a gun?
Yeah, exactly. I love what you're doing. So I wanted to show them what it looks like. Do you have a picture of it or anything? Or
I will get it for you now. I have a display box that I take everywhere, really. And basically what it does, and so with ours is all you do, this is you in the classroom. You run into the classroom, you shut the door, and all they have to do is flip it, it drops and it locks. And that's patented. And it says call 911, because when our kids are not thinking, they're not thinking, oh my gosh, I need to call for help. They're videoing or doing things that kids do and not really calling for help. And then it lets everyone in the classroom know that the door is locked, because as a parent, what's the one thing, if your kid calls you and says, Mom, somebody's outside of my classroom, there's some, we're on lockdown, we don't know if they have a gun or a knife or whatever that looks like. The only thing you can do as a parent is say, is the door locked? Because we can't do anything else in that moment. And the last thing I want my kid to say is, I don't know. That's an unacceptable answer to me.
it's so sad. Like, I'm so happy I don't have any kids because I don't think I could deal with it. But so scary. I do have a question. So with the FlipLok, how is that supposed to protect if they are shooting through the door? Like, does that happen, like shooting through the door to get in?
Well, the thing is, nothing's 100%, but what this does is it buys our kids time, right? Most shooters don't want to stand there and take down a door. Their goal is the most casualties they can get. So what are they going to do? They're going to go to the next door. This FlipLok has actually been tested to hold over 2,500 pounds now that we tested it the second time around. And that people won't be able to get through that door, and they're not going to stand there and spend their precious time knowing police is on the way. They want to do damage, and the damage is the next classroom that's open. And hopefully the goal is that every classroom is locked down and this person is stuck in the hallway by themselves and no one else is there. And that gets the police the time to get them out, and saves, how many lives can we save in seconds, minutes, hundreds of lives, depending on what kind of, damage they're coming in there to do. So I think that if we give our kids the tools and empower them, they can feel safe and secure being in school, knowing that they have an action plan, because our kids, they're very smart. If you give them a tool, they will do it. And telling them to stack desks in front of the door is not an option for me. My daughter's a little petite little girl, and there's no way she's stacking desks in front of a door. And how in the world are they going to get in there when the threat is identified and addressed? That's not fair to everybody in there. So that's the reason why we created this. And there's an unlocking mechanism for emergency personnel and things like that to use in the event somebody wants to be funny, or in the event of an actual situation, the emergency personnel can come in and gain access to the classrooms. And I really think that the world that we live in, we have standards for active threat. We have standards for fires, right? We know what to do if there's a fire. But hey, how many kids have we lost in a fire in the last 50 years? How many children have we lost in the last 15 years to an active threat situation? Why don't we have a standard? And that's really what I'm advocating for. That's really what this is about, making a standard, because it takes the confusion and out of the situation, and it gives back the children the control and the teacher the control, and it gives us all a system to use, right? And we need that system.
Yes, exactly. So I wanted to go on the website and show everyone. See if
okay.
I got it.
Under school safety, yeah, FlipLok.com, FLIPLOK.com.
Okay. You said .com. So I'm going to show it on the screen.
Okay. Yeah.
So that
I just did a TED talk about school safety. I didn't talk about FlipLok, but I talked about giving our kids the tools to be able to go in. And if you go to the school safety tab, you can see the school version of that.
School safety.
There it is. Yeah. And then we have videos, and the one of it in action actually shows FlipLok for schools. I believe that's the one that has the video of the kids. I think it's the other one.
Oh, this one right here.
The other one, the end.
The end. Okay. Yeah. Do you care if I play it on here, or do you want them to go to?
I don't mind if you want to play it. This is basically it shows what our kids do. They identify.
FlipLok.
Call 911.
FlipLok. FlipLok. FlipLok.
And it's simple to use. You see it sitting on the door. It's ready for the kids to use. And it's just as simple for them to unlock it. They just flip it back over and it's unlocked. And it's big and red because it's an emergency use device. The kids go in emergency, you're not thinking, everything gets kind of, fuzzy, and everybody gets scared, and you get an out of body experience. But if you see something big and red, our whole lives we've associated red with emergency, which is why I always wear red. I'm an emergency device. I'm a safety mom. And, it's about giving our kids that idea, oh, that's supposed to be used during this emergency, right? That's why we made it red. Everything was very intentional with our 6 kids in mind. If we have boys, we need to be able to unlock it. They like to play jokes. If we need, there's just things that are reality. But the main thing is, I think with our kids and the world that they live in, I honestly don't see them doing that, because they see this as peace of mind, a sense of security, and they see this as a way that can actually protect them. And I don't think kids want to play with that anymore. It's like those kids that pull the fire alarm, very few and far between will do that. Most of these kids are really thinking, wow, okay, I don't have to worry about how many desks are going to stack up against that door and who's going to actually do that.
Exactly. Exactly. So I did want to ask you, has the FlipLok been to all schools? Have you all got them to all schools yet, or is it just certain schools?
We are starting. So we have started the business almost 2 years ago, and September 19th, I believe, was my start date of the actual formation. Took a year to get our patent, a little over a year. And then we decided to wait to go to market until we had all the inventory. So we actually have it in inventory, because that's how strongly I believe in FlipLok. But I am in several schools across the country. We're in Illinois schools. We have some schools in Texas. We're working with schools in Boston, Florida, all over the United States to get it into the schools. And it's been a really well received. because people really want to give their kids that sense of peace and a way for them to be able to go into action with the start of the school year.
Yeah, I definitely think that they should teach about the FlipLok in schools, like before class starts, that they should talk about it first. And let them know that this is what you need to do in a case of an emergency. I don't think that, I know this is bad to say, I don't think the school shootings are going to stop happening until something is done.
Right. And it doesn't have to be a school shooting. It could be anything. Some schools are by, prison facilities. And my friend called me and said, oh my God, some guy escaped and now my kids are in school and we don't know. They may not have a gun. They could just have a knife. They could have anything. People can use anything to cause harm to our children. And we need to be able to lock down the classroom, not just the building. The classroom is really viable to saving mass lives. And I really think that's important. And I think that our kids would feel so much better going to school and knowing that they can actually go into action.
Yeah. And I want to go back on the left side. So let me see if I can find it. Okay. Is there anything else you want to go through on here?
Well, you
residential.
Our residential, we have residential, and that lock is designed so we have kids in all ranges of life. I have a daughter at the time, she was going into her first apartment, and we were thinking, oh my gosh, she doesn't really lock her bedroom door, so is she going to lock her apartment? But even if she did, somebody has the key to her apartment, and I don't want somebody knocking on her door saying maintenance, and they just walk in and she's coming out of the shower. So that's why we created that, so that she has that extra secondary lock. And then we have a son that's in college, he's doing the communal apartment thing, a couple of other roommates. But, you saw what happened with those kids, that had the digital code and all that. Put one of these in your bedroom and it's not something that can be, hacked. And it's something that you put on your bedroom and your kids can sleep, that your kids are going to have that extra layer of security on their door.
Ooh, I may need to purchase this because I live by myself. I know Mom love this.
I have one in my bedroom. You can put it in your bedroom. I have one in my bedroom. My husband leaves out of town. I just put it on. My little girl has one. She has one in her bedroom. Even if we have guests in our house, I say, I tell my daughter, just lock your room at night. It's fine. Because, you never know what anything, somebody could get into your house. There's a lot of, invasions lately, people are just really brave and crazy and you don't know what they're going to do, but if somebody gets in your house, what's your action plan? Do you have a room that's another room that you can buy more time? Put a FlipLok on it. That's what I do. Somebody gets in my house. I know where we're going. My daughter has her place to go. And we all have extra locks throughout the house in different rooms, the restroom, the whatever room you have, the closet, the bedroom, to buy you that time to call for help or whatever that looks like for you.
Yeah, I love this. This is amazing because I'm definitely going to get one because I live by myself, like you said, and people just be walking in.
And the home version has been tested over 1,660 pounds of pressure, I believe. And most deadbolts only hold about 75 to 100 pounds of pressure. So, and then an adult can kick up to, I think, 1,000 pounds of pressure. So what is a deadbolt going to do? It's a false sense of security for a lot of people, because if you think about it, it's just that little, this much of a lock going into your door. When you have this that's into the frame of the door, but it doesn't touch the door on the outside. So you don't have to worry about damaging the outside of your door or messing with the frame, because all you do is you screw it into the frame of the door and it just hangs on in there, and then you just flip it and it doesn't touch the door or anything like that.
Oh, wow. I'm still trying to think of what the idea came up with. It
was about being able to secure the door quick, and it needed to be something that, my mother-in-law has arthritis. So it was like, it can't be something you have to turn, because she doesn't lock the door anyway, because she can't unlock the door. And so it was just a matter of, okay, what would grandma use too? What would we all use? Or what if we call our kids and say, hey, did you lock your door? I don't want to hear, oh, I'm not sure. I don't know if that door is locked or not. I just moved into this place, which happens a lot. We don't really remember, is it locked or not locked, because it's a new apartment and it has a deadbolt we're not familiar with. But with this, yes, I can see it's flipped. It's locked, Dad. Quit bugging me.
That's true.
We're parents. I mean, what are we supposed to do, right?
That's true. That's true. So what is the commercial? Is that like businesses?
businesses can put them in their offices. You know, there's a lot of times where there's been situations in offices. So yes, absolutely. Businesses can use the home lock if they wanted. And if they wanted an unlocking mechanism, then they would go with the school version. But I recommend the home lock is just as good. You know, you don't need a unlocking mechanism like for, you know, minors and kids like that. But for businesses, it's really good to have that layer of security for the people that work for you. There's been a lot of places where there's disgruntled employees and you never know what, you know, what can happen and how do you protect your employees while they're in your office and in your care. As far as I'm concerned, anybody that's in my building is, you know, under my care. I got to do my best. Can't say we're going to protect them 100%, but at least do our best to give them the tools to be able to go into action.
Definitely. So whenever you go to schools and have you ever been to schools and spoke about FlipLok?
Yes, I do all the time. I'm meeting superintendents, school safety security people, the heads of the police departments, anywhere that anybody will listen to me, I will go because I think it's super important that people understand that not giving our kids the tool is the biggest disservice we can do to them by not providing them the tool to simply lock the door. And I don't mean a deadbolt. I mean something that's really going to give security to that door so that it buys them real time to get help to come in and rescue them.
Yes. So what positive feedback have you gotten from kids? Like, do they feel safer hearing about this?
Yes, actually, we were on Channel 2, I think, in local news, did a big thing where we installed in the school, and the kids were 5 and 6 years old, and they didn't even want to go into any other classroom that didn't have a FlipLok on it, and they were so excited that they could all do it, and they said it just made them feel so much safer, and they knew exactly what to do, so they weren't thinking about if a bad guy comes in, because they know what they're going to do. They're going to flip that lock. That's what they said. We're going to flip that lock.
The 5-year-olds, they're so smart.
And that's it. Give them the tools and they will absolutely go into action. But if we don't, they are thinking, they are smart. They do hear things that go on. We can try to protect them as much as we want. But the truth is they go to school, they're with other kids. They're going to hear these things. What can we do to alleviate that stress and that pressure? And what would that do for their, mental stability, knowing that they have to be in school and they need to think about this when I never thought about this as a child, ever.
Ever. I agree. So how would schools be able to, okay, I see shop now. So schools can just go over there and shop and buy them?
Schools would, for the home one, it's different. For the home one, this is the home one. Residential, commercial. For the school one, they would need to contact us because we always make sure that it's a school or a government facility or, somebody that really needs the school version rather than the home version. Anybody can just go on. If it's a business and they want to buy them for their business, they're welcome to go on our website and buy them directly. But if it's a school, we really like to talk to them and just make sure, they know what they're doing. If they're going to install it, we talk to them about installation. All those kind of things. And we've made it so simple. We have videos we share with how it works to show the kids, a training video. We have everything that's included for the schools to make it super easy for them to implement our system.
Yeah, I love it that it's so easy to use that 5-year-olds can do it. And I'm like, 5-year-olds.
If a 5-year-old cannot use it, it's useless in my opinion, because 5-year-olds are just as vulnerable and they're just as smart. And I think that they are, unfortunately, the bigger target in a lot of these situations. And how can we empower them to go into action? Give them the tool to simply lock the door.
Yes, definitely. And I feel like they shouldn't be taking the kids' phones away either. Just teach them, hey, that you're during school, like when we're teaching, you don't be on your phone. But if somebody's coming in to try to shoot you, so FlipLok and then call.
Yeah, it's so hard, with the world and the technology as it is right now. But I think that, when we tell our kids and we give our kids the right tools, they just feel so much better. And, having a phone and whatever that looks like for the schools, if they have panic buttons or whatever, this is something when they flip it, it drops, it locks, push your panic button, call for 911, whatever that looks like in your school. But I do think that we need a standard for this system across the United States, because my kids shouldn't go to somebody else's kid's school and not know what to do. That's unacceptable to me. It's just like a fire. You know what to do if there's a fire right now where you are, right? And you're in another state from me. So why is this so not connected with the same situation that we're dealing with now. It's the same situation. It's time to standardize it.
Yes, I feel like every school should have one now, every single one, even high schoolers.
Absolutely. Colleges, nobody's exempt. You've seen it in colleges. You've seen the videos of doors stacked against the door, desk stacked against the doors. And this is all the kids have. Why can't we give them the right tools that'll make their life so much easier, protect them quickly, get them away from the door? Because the truth is they're stacking doors. They're standing in the line of fire. If they flip it, they get out of the way, and you've just possibly saved more children that way, you know?
Let me ask you a quick question. So in the workplace, we did have a scare of an active shooter. How would that work in a workplace if you're like in a like warehouse? How would that work? Like, have y'all ever thought about a safety FlipLok in a warehouse? Like, how would that work?
Well, we have FlipLoks everywhere. So if that was a situation, there'd be a room that's the safe room that everybody runs into, right? And that room should have a FlipLok on it. That should be where everybody tries to run into to get away from the line of fire. You know, you have to have a plan, but again, you know, we need a standard. We need an alert. How are you going to let people know in your warehouse that that's happening? Because they're not going to know, and warehouses are huge. We need a unique alert. We need a secondary lock, a FlipLok. We need an all clear to let people know, okay, whoever's coming in is a good guy now. You can relax. We don't need to be scared. The kids can stop being worried, but we're going to come in and get you, or whatever that looks like for the school. But I really am advocating for standardization.
I agree. I want to thank you so much, Anna, for coming on my podcast today and speaking with me about FlipLok.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
You have a great day, and thank you so much.
Thank you. Okay.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Hey everyone, I want to thank you all so much for listening to my interview with Anna. So, as she stated on her website, you can contact them directly if it's for the school system, because they want to make sure it's properly set up. But if you want one for your house, like residential locks, these right here, then they have videos that shows you how to put them on your door. So that's where you can purchase them at. This is the website, FlipLok.com. And you can go on there and purchase. And then it has contact, media, school safety, commercial, residential, and about us. So and you can even search. Thank you all so much for listening. I hope y'all have a great day. See you next time. Bye.